It's Wednesday, July the 10th. And we didn't do a fishing report last Wednesday. We actually had some pretty crazy storms come through the Cape Fear area. We were without internet, local cell phone tower blew down, and we were without that for several days. Cape Fear boat dock had some severe damage over there. I think 25 boats were underneath docks that flipped over. Apparently it wasn't a tornado. They said it was straight line winds, but it did a bunch of damage. The marina had been closed all weekend, but they are open now. Ice cream stores open. You can get access to the docks, gas. So everything's getting a little bit back to normal over there. But as far as the fishing, the lake level, about 916 and a half. It hasn't changed very much. Up and down a few inches here or there. They've been doing very little generation, about 3 or 4 hours a day. If you're out there when they're generating water, it definitely helps on the bite. But with it being so busy, I haven't fished much, down lake, down by the dam around Kimberling, but what little bit I have, it's been really tough down there. The drop shot bite hadn't been that good for me, nor has the football jig. Very little top water unless you get the right conditions. The most consistent thing I got going in that end of the lake is around the boat docks with a spoon. But it seems like after about 10 o'clock, I don't really care to be at that end of the lake. There's a few too many wakeboard boats for me. Well, what I've been doing, I've been fishing up in the river arms, and I live up here in the James River. So I've been spending a lot of time in Upper Flat Creek in James River arm. Now, you can do the same thing in the Kings River, up in Long Creek and Big and Little Indian behind Baxter. But, we've had some really good days up there. We've been catching lots of numbers of fish, in several keepers. But, the good thing about it is just a lot of action. And how we've been catching them up there, we're going up there really shallow, upriver. Depends on the water clarity. Now, the further you get up the river arms, the cleaner the water gets, with the exception of we had a few inches of rain, I think day before yesterday. So some of that might have muddied up a little bit since I was there, but for the most part, the further you get up, the clearer it gets. Now, there's, even with no generation, if you get up far enough, there's current up there. And you can catch them on topwater throughout the day. One of my favorite topwater baits up there is this little Spro Cyclone Junior. It's like a little whopper plopper, and you can use a little whopper plopper. Small spinner bait, 1/8 ounce or 1/4 ounce buzz bait, and it's not just an early deal. We actually got a bit better on it later throughout the day. A lot of times, what you want to do up there is just fish the shade up there in that real skinny water up in the river. And you want to look for any wood that's up there at all, any kind of lay down, bigger isolated rocks. And one day they'll bite the top water or the buzz bait. Next day they seem like they want a little square bill. And my square bill of choice has been a Fat Papa. It's a Spro 55, and this other one here is a 65, Fat Papa 65. Depending on the depth, if it's real shallow, I'll throw the 55. A little bit deeper, I'll throw the 65. And also like a Strike King 1.5 will work as well. And up there, it's pretty clear water. A lot of times you can actually see the fish charging out of the wood for it. It's a lot of fun. And if I can't get them on those baits, what my backup bait, if I get it untangled here, is a little worm. Let's see if I get it here. I got it. Okay. I usually take an 1/8 ounce or 3/16 ounce bullet weight with a Gamakatsu one offset hook, and I've got a Missiles 4-inch mini worm on this, and this is a PBJ color. Another color that'll work good is a plum. And what's good about these missile baits, I use the same worm for drop shotting as well. But there's 16 of them in a package, where a lot of other brands, you only get like 8 to 10. So you get a lot of worms in a package, a little bit cheaper than some of the other ones. But I'll basically just, Texas rig this, throw it in the laydowns, or like I say, around some of them isolated rocks. Another bait that, will work up in that area is little jigs, like a little tiny pee-wee football jig, and also a missiles bait. I think it's Iconelli's micro jig. The only thing about these little football jigs is they get hung up a lot in the brush, especially up there where there's current. That's why I like the Texas rig bait a lot better. I'll usually throw it up ahead of the structure, depending on how much current there is, and let the current bring it into it. And you'll be amazed at how many fish you can catch out of one laydown, whether it be on a crankbait or a little worm. If I get down a little bit where the water's a little bit more stained, I might go with a little bit bigger worm, a 6-inch. This is a V&M 6.5-inch worm. Another one to work is like a Zoom trick worm. This is a Strike King. Another way to rig the 4-inch worm is on a 5 Fish Lures Ultimate Ned rig jig head, and I'd throw it in like an 1/8 ounce or 3/16 as well. But the 5 Fish Ned head rig will come through that cover a whole lot better than any of these football style jigs. So it's a lot of fun, and there's hardly there's definitely no wakeboard boats up there. Very little boat traffic. We were up there the 4th of July, the 5th, and other than a few people in canoes and kayaks. And I've been doing that up in Flat Creek and up in the James, but I know it'll work up in Big and Little Indian as well. I've done it up there this time of year. Now, as I'm going up there, those river arms, I might stop and fish some of the stuff in 12 to 15 foot of water. But on the mud flats, any place there's any kind of wood or snags, I'll throw the top water, the square bill, or a little jig or worm. And then, the further you get up there, a lot of times you only have 6 to 10 foot of water, but even in my 21 foot nitro, it doesn't draw that much water. It doesn't, I can get pretty shallow water. As long as you take your time, you can go way up them river arms. And like I say, it's just a lot of fun. It beats fighting the crowd down lake. As far as the water temperature, I didn't mention that at the beginning. It had been in the mid to high 80s, but when I went out this morning, I put in down by the dam, and it was 80, 81 degrees. So, that cooler night last night and that rain we had seemed to cool it down quite a bit. But even up in the upper river arms, the water temperature's in the mid 80s. And, you can get down around the Cape Fear area and fish a lot of the stuff that everybody fishes with a football jig and a Carolina rig and a deep crankbait. But after about 10 or 11 o'clock, it gets pretty busy with recreation traffic. So, like I say, this time of year, if you want to get away from the crowds, go as far up the river arms as you can. Just downsize your baits, and you can catch a lot of fish. And like I say, don't be afraid to throw a spinner bait and a buzz bait throughout the day. You'll be amazed with not a cloud in the sky that you can catch fish on them topwater baits. So, till next week, good luck, good fishing.